Just in, breaking news. Prince Harry's memoir, his autobiography Spare, is the most dumped book of the summer, with up to 100 copies left behind at various resorts in Spain, Greece and Turkey. So Spare is going the way of all things. But that's not really what we're going to talk about. An extraordinary story emerged last night that after the Queen's funeral, when Dr. Jill Biden attended because old Joe didn't come over because he hates the British, but Jill Biden came over, and of course she came in Air Force One, America's flagship jet plane, symbol of the nation and all that. Harry and Meghan tried to hitch a ride on it back to America, where they now, of course, live. Now, they were told, actually, you know, America's flagship jet, our national aeroplane, is not available to hitchhikers. So they were told they couldn't get on this. Now, there are more reasons that Meghan wanted to get on that plane than just getting a free trip back to the United States. So joining me now, Chairman of the Republican Overseas Organisation here in London, Greg Swenson. Hi, Greg. Quite a story. I got you to look up the protocol. I mean, for once, the Bidens made the right decision. You can't have any old You can't have any old straggler saying, any chance of a lift? I mean, what's the protocol of Air Force One?
Well, first of all, maybe Harry and Meghan would just wanted to demonstrate their commitment to net zero by not chartering their own plane.
Yeah, somebody's come up with that. Yeah. Thank you, Harry.
It was, and it was the funeral, not the coronation, I believe.
It was the funeral. Yeah, I think I said that, didn't I?
But I think, you know, what it proves here is just how naive they are and how self-entitled they are. It's just amazing. And normally, you know, they do have guests on Air Force One. The press usually flies in a different plane, but they'll have maybe one person from the press on. But if they have a friend or family, they have to pay for it. So I'm quite sure that Harry and Meghan didn't understand that, but you know, in theory, they would have to, you know, make some sort of a payment. Yeah. And even when the president campaigns, the campaign has to pay for that travel.
Interesting.
I have a friend who's been on Air Force One a few times. Yeah. He was mates with Obama, and you know, every time he traveled on it, he had to pay for it, or Obama had to pay for it himself.
But you know, this plane is a diplomatic entity.
That's right.
And America has to be very careful about who gets on it.
Yeah.
And clearly, and apparently, after they were sort of politely told no way, Meghan didn't take no for an answer. She hit the phones and said, come on.
She is unbelievable. I mean, I know, I mean, it's never been verified, but the reliable source tells me she called Gavin Newsom when Dianne Feinstein decided to resign her Senate seat.
Can I be governor?
And wanted him to appoint her. Because the governor can appoint the senator in between elections or before a special election. So it really just shows how outrageous they are. And you know, as you've pointed out, their stock is just sunk in America. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So America, we're hearing from sources, the reason they said to Harry and Meghan, you can't get on this plane, is because America, quite rightly, to quote, did not want to cause a commotion. What they actually didn't want to do is to sort of take sides in this royal feud. And you know, they would be seen to favour Harry and Meghan against the king and all that. I'm
surprised they didn't take advantage of that, because, as you know, President Biden loves to snub the UK. And this would have been a bridge too far. Yeah,
a step too far. So the reason that people are speculating that Meghan wanted to get on this plane was not to get a free ride. I mean, for all her faults, she can afford.
She could spring for her own jet.
Yeah, she can afford a jet back to America. It was to be seen in a presidential light, because she genuinely harbours presidential ambitions. I mean, this is fantastical, absurd, never going to happen, is it?
Not a chance. I mean, it worked for Donald Trump, because remember, he was a reality TV show host.
But there's a bit more to him than that.
Yes, exactly right. He was also a successful business person and real estate developer. No, it's just amazing how full of herself she is, that she has that kind of ambition. And I don't think she'll ever run for office because it would be humiliating when she loses.
And wasn't there a recent poll of Democrat supporters? Something like 70% of them said that she would be a great presidential candidate for the Democrat Party. I respectfully beg to differ. I think she'd be a disaster.
I think the woke progressive wing of the Democrat Party would love to have someone like her because she checks all the boxes on wokeism and all her absurd beliefs, but I don't think the mainstream of the party would tolerate that.
Now, this story, I was on the talk last night here on talkTV, and several of my compadres poured suspicion on this story. They said, well, I'm not sure, this sounds like it might not be true. But I said, well, if it's not true, Harry and Meghan will deny it very quickly.
That's right.
I've seen no denial so far.
No.
So it's starting to look as if there's some veracity to this. And so it's another sort of car crash incident in the ever turbulent life of this gruesome twosome from Montecito, isn't it?
Yeah, the Duke and Duchess of Montecito, they should write a book on how to wreck your reputation so quickly. Or some PR firm should write a book about it. I mean, this could be a Harvard Business School case on how to wreck your own reputation. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Let's talk about what you alluded to just now. I mean, obviously they've had significant business problems since Spotify cancelled their $20 million contract.
Complete failure.
Due to lack of productivity, plus Meghan's Archetypes podcast series Bored for America and Britain and the world. Didn't make any money. Harry didn't do anything for them, just came up with a suggestion. How about I interview Vladimir Putin? Oh, I'll get the Pope on fatherhood. Don't want to rain on your parade, Harry, but the Pope hasn't got any kids. It kind of comes with a job. Holy Father doesn't mean he is a father. He also wanted to interview Donald Trump, and then he expected Spotify to set it all up for him. So that was his idea of an idea. Their Netflix contract, that's worth $100 million, shall we say, is under a cloud. It's under a cloud. And part of the reason that these big businesses are falling out of love with the royal couple, who they used to love, is because America has fallen out of love with them.
Absolutely. They've been a complete failure in the U.S., and it just goes to show that Americans like new. You know, they like fresh entertainment, whether, you know, fresh culture. You know, there's not a deep history of classical culture in America. It's new. It's Hollywood, and you know, everybody wants the new sexy thing. And for them, it's the same really boring story. They have nothing new. All they do is whine about Harry's difficult upbringing and the challenges of being, you know, the second son.
His hard life in palaces and private jets.
It brings a tear to my eye. You know, I weep for him. But you know, Americans are bored with it. You know, might have even, you know, maybe got a little, as you know, it got some attention when they first moved there. And I think the welcome mat was out for them. They were really welcomed.
It's like that guy
in the States.
That executive from Spotify who called them a couple of bleeping grifters.
Right.
So many swear words I can't say today. That oil lot and now
Not
this.
you, Kevin.
But anyway, off air, I'll tell you what it really is. But he called them a couple of bleeping grifters.
Right.
And unless they were pouring a bucket on the royal family, nobody wanted to hear anything that they had to say. And I think that's the predicament. Greg, going to have to move on. Thank you very much for coming in. That's
good to be here, Kevin.
Greg Swenson from the Republican Overseas Organisation. I hope he'll be a regular guest on my new show, 3 to 5, every weekday.